This is InFocus Christian News and Current Affairs.
Hi and welcome to another special holiday episode of Record in Focus, and we have a real treat lined up for you first up today, an interview that you did, Dannielle, with
That's right.
none other than Lindy Chamberlain.
It was a great interview, Kent. We took a totally different line. You know, what I love about Lindy is she has just taken everything that she's been through, you know, with the dingo and the court case and all of that, you know, horrific stuff, and used it to make a difference to other people. She does a lot of public speaking, fantastic stuff on grief and loss. So with this interview, we actually talked about what Lindy's doing now. And, yeah, a bit of a different flavour to what you've seen, I'm sure.
Okay, let's take a look.
Well, my guest today needs little introduction, being the centre of the most controversial legal case in Australian history after her daughter Azaria was taken by a dingo at Uluru in 1980. In a cruel twist, she was falsely accused and sentenced to life in prison for Azaria's murder. But now, 34 years later, she's standing strong as a powerful advocate for justice and forgiveness. Joining us today is, of course, the lovely Lindy Chamberlain-Creighton. Welcome, Lindy. So great to have you with us.
Thank you, Dannielle.
I want to just jump straight into things, if that's all right with you. Lindy, let's rewind back to 1980. A bittersweet year for you, wasn't it? You had the birth of your beautiful baby daughter, Azaria. Excited little boys, Aidan and Regan, with a baby sister finally.
Yes.
And then things changed, didn't they, in August of that year? Tell us what happened.
No, I'm going to say if you really want to know all the details, Dannielle, you can buy my book and read it there.
And by the way, folks, it's a fantastic book, a big one, but a wonderful book, full of dispelling a lot of rumours, Lindy, getting right down to the facts and the intricacies of just an incredible journey that you've had.
Yeah, well, I didn't actually say that to make you buy the book or give you a plug. It's just that after 34 years, I've decided I don't need to put myself through that sort of pain anymore.
Yep.
What's important is what I've learned from what happened to me rather than what happened to me.
Tell us a bit about that.
And so my book itself, up until this point, it's been called Through My Eyes because it was written through the eyes of the eyewitnesses, and even some of the police cooperated with me, and the lawyers went over their parts and the scientists went over their part, and so it was appropriate to call it Through My Eyes because it was through the eyes of the people involved. And so I've tried to tell it as my story, but let it be as factual as I could possibly make it. But now it's gone international. People don't know my name and through whose eyes what's that. So it's changed its name to The Dingo's Got My Baby, which is what internationally is known.
And it's something that I've noticed too, Lindy, is the case of Azaria really has impacted the Australian culture. I mean, we see the story inspiring caricatures and cartoons, operas, television series, movies, Evil Angels, of course, and Through My Eyes, which was the telly series. What's that been like for you, seeing something so personal become so public?
That's really hard to describe. It's so far out of the normal sphere of life, and people sort of think, well, if they see you on television, you know, you're important, you're on show all the time. And it's like, no, I'm just an ordinary Aussie housewife. And then I look at the television things and go, oh, that's supposed to be me. And I guess when it first happened, there was so much that was supposed to be me that was not factual and was not me. And I'd watch it to see what that other Lindy Chamberlain was supposedly doing. That when these other things came in, it was just sort of not a huge leap, but just a tiny little incremental step as part of the story, and it's there, but it's and as factual as some of them are, and some of them are. Certainly the movie Cry in the Dark is, except for tiny little pieces. It still does not seem like me. It's sort of part of that alter ego that's not me. Wow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course then, there's the satirical elements that come out in certain things too.
And some of them are really funny. I laugh at them because some of them are really funny. And
can you give us an example?
Some of them are nasty. Well, the one that jumps into my mind first always, and maybe because it was the first one that I thought was really funny that affected me, was nicking through the back. There'd been a bomb scare in Alice Springs in the court in the first inquest, and we were taken out the back way through the cop shop, and they hadn't expected us to go around that way, and their bulletin board was there, and there on the bulletin board was a cartoon, and it had two big policemen, you know how they draw them with the massive shoulders going down to no feet, and they were standing in the dock, and between them, paws handcuffed up, was this tiny little Scottish terrier with its nose barely over the top, and the caption was, "Please, Your Honour, I was nowhere near Esrock at the time."
Oh,
I thought that was hilarious. Some of the others with me did not, but, it struck my sense of humour. And yet, some of the stuff that people like Ostentatious did, that's just nasty and in poor taste.
Let's just touch on that for a minute, Lindy, the nasty side of things, because things did get quite nasty revolving you at that time. I've heard reports of, pub brawls. It really was the case that divided a nation. I've heard of, Adventist school kids being teased. I know your boys, copped
they
a fair
certainly
bit.
were.
I heard of a radio announcer whose mother happened to look like you around that time, mistaken for you and spat on. What was it like at that time, seeing the effect not only that you're experiencing, but on those around you?
Uncomfortable. Going down the street, even if you didn't, go like this to everybody that was looking with you, you realised that the minute you pass, you could see out of the corner of your eye, heads would be going,
wow,
and there'd be that. These days, it's 99.9% of the time it's nice rather than nasty. But, no matter how good the reason is, if you walk into a room, even if it's your surprise birthday party, it's like everybody's looking at me. Only in my situation it was, everybody's looking at you because there's that woman.
Yeah.
And so it's uncomfortable, and you have to sort of keep your face as neutral as possible and that sort of thing, and pretend you don't hear the dingo whistles. And so much so, in fact, has it become second nature to me not to notice that some of my friends will say, "I love you, if you don't want to see somebody, you just walk past without looking, and you don't look." And it's like, well, I wasn't looking. I actually didn't see you there. And so some people probably think I'm rude. And my girlfriend said to me just recently, "Didn't you see that lady smile twice and say hello?" And I'm like, "What lady?" I just didn't see it because I'm so used to not seeing that sort of thing on purpose. It doesn't register anymore. It's become part of the norm.
Yeah.
So unless they come up to me, in which case, yes, I see them and yes, I talk to them. Otherwise, I just don't see it most of the time.
Yeah. Well, Lindy, after the break, we're going to talk about what the new norm is for you. I'm really excited about what you're doing with your life now. We'll take a break, guys. Stay tuned. We'll be back with Lindy after the break.
Thousands of years ago, a series of ancient prophecies were disguised within a system of mysterious symbols. For centuries, These remarkable predictions have been sealed to the world until now. Check out our new Secrets of Prophecy online course today in 24 beautifully illustrated free studies at www.itiswrittenoceania.tv or call 1300 300 389 for your free copy today.
Signs of the Times, a magazine for a world on the brink. And this month in Signs, can you believe in a God that science cannot prove exists? Eat like a caveman or quit sugar. We review the latest diet trends, 50 Shades of Grey. First the novel, now the movie. And we answer life's big question, why are we here? All in this month's Signs of the Times. Subscribe to Signs today and change your life.
Thanks for tuning back in with Lindy Chamberlain-Creighton. Now, Lindy, we've heard all sorts of definitions of who you are, you know, from the cold-blooded baby killer to the innocent woman who was imprisoned for the death of her baby. But you tell me, who is the real Lindy?
Me?
It is Lindy. What's life like for you? What are the things you love and enjoy and take delight in life?
Oh, big question. There's so many things I like. Some of them I can't do anymore as a result of my health, but I love outdoor things. So, although I
Any skydiving?
Skydiving?
Yeah.
Not yet. Not yet. It's on the bucket list.
On the bucket list, very good.
And it's very close. I've been on the what do you call them? The big parachutes that they tow behind the boats.
Oh, parasailing?
Parasailing, that's
Very
it.
good. I'm yet to do that one, but would love to.
That is so much fun. Lots of those sorts of things. In my younger days, it was flying foxes and, bridges that swung or one rope to stand on and two to hold on to and that sort of thing.
Well, you probably would have given Steve Irwin a run for his money in your younger days, Lindy.
I have picked up crocodiles and things. I've had a 3'6" one in my hands.
Oh, wow.
And I love that sort of thing, but equally I love painting and pottery and crafts and Christmas. I love Christmas, especially white Christmases. But I also absolutely love designing houses and interior decorating and that sort of thing. I don't do a lot of interior decorating because we earn our living these days by renovating houses and small building projects, etc. And usually they're sold empty.
Wow. So. Now, I know, Lindy, also family is very important to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
One grandbaby. Just one.
Wow.
But it's the first one. She's not a year old yet.
That's exciting. And it's, what really strikes me with you, Lindy, we had you, of course, in Victoria to run some programs a few years ago. And, all this stuff we've seen in the media over the years about Lindy's cold and hard. And, I remember particularly you speaking about your dad. And you, even now, I can see you just get a little bit emotional about that. The love for him just wells up. And
shouldn't start me.
I shouldn't. I'm sorry. I didn't expect that reaction in its fullness. But, beautiful to see. I see so much compassion in you. You help a lot of people. You speak often on forgiveness.
Well, it's certainly one of the most demanded topics when I speak because I think a lot of people are so much in, you go to church and you have to forgive because the Bible says you do and God says you got to forgive. And I think that puts you off more than anything else. I think that's a real misnomer. You think you have to do it in order to be good or in order to be a Christian. Yeah. And I believe that forgiveness is selfish, very selfish. It's for you.
As in we need it.
It's not a bad selfish, it's a good selfish. But, What makes us think we can forgive a person? I don't know. That's so arrogant. It's God that forgives people.
Power of the Holy Spirit, do you think?
It's just got nothing to do with us. We can release them, certainly. But to me, forgiveness is saying to yourself, look, what was done is not all right. I won't let that happen again. You know, once, fool me once, it's on you. Fool me twice, it's on me.
Yeah.
It's a caution.
It's a caution.
You don't quite have that same relationship. But what a person does and who they are two different things. The trust issue is different.
Yeah.
But God loves them as much as he loves you. And somebody said to me this weekend, I got this real problem, you know, what? Forgive them, what if I end up next door to them in heaven? And I said, well, if you do, you know that they've been sorry for what they did. God's forgiven them and they're a whole different person, the same as you are. And you'll get on fine with them in heaven. And she went,
That's
I've had such a struggle with that.
And it's those epiphanies, isn't it, Lindy, that change. At some point we have to make a choice. Now, on your website, you've got a really interesting statement that says, only you can imprison your mind. I mean, that's great wisdom. That's very powerful. At what point in your journey did you come to that realisation?
When I was a teenager or younger, I suppose. I guess it's one of the reasons I write resist in the front of my book when I'm signing it all the time, because of Marie Durant.
Powerful story.
And it is so much, you know,
did you have
they
to do
can
that?
tie your body up as much as they like, but unless you voluntarily give your mind, you are free. And that's the whole point of forgiveness. It's saying, I don't have to hold the nastiness that you're trying to put on me. That is not my burden. That's yours. You're responsible for that. What you do with that is your responsibility. I'm handing it back to you. I'm taking back my headspace. I'm not renting it out to anybody else. It's mine. I will dwell there. You won't. I'm giving myself permission to get over what's happened to me in the past. Use it as a lesson, learn from it, move on, but I don't have to go back and visit it. My life is here, now. That's your responsibility. I've forgiven myself for that, for being sidetracked. And if sometime in the future you say, man, what I did wasn't very nice, I should take responsibility for that and I'm going to go and apologise and say, look, I did this, it wasn't nice, I'm sorry. I have no problem then of saying, fine. As far as I'm concerned, that was in the past long ago. Now it's just between you and God. Get it over with, move on.
Do you think a powerful part of that, Lindy, when people hear your story, when you have the privilege of answering God's call and going where he tells you to go, in a nice way, that some of the power in that is that God's able to use you. You've been through such an intense journey. You've had to forgive so many people in so many ways on such a public level that people can listen to your story, analyse the forgiveness they need to pursue and say, you know what, if Lindy can forgive, then I can too.
A lot of people do come and say that to me, and they also say, you know, I've really struggled with it, because it's like saying, I thought what I was being told to do is tell you it's okay what you've done. But in the version of forgiveness that I teach, and many others around the world do as well, I'm not alone in this, is no, it is not okay. What you did was wrong. And I will do all in my power not to put myself in that position anymore. But I don't have to keep that burden. I can go ahead and make that burden aside, leave that burden to you. And I think a really good illustration of that, and one I used this weekend in a totally different talk, is two monks.
Okay.
Who, as part of their religion, women were unclean. Right. And going on a journey one day, they came to a river and there was an old lady sitting there crying. And they said to her, Mother, what's wrong? And she said, well, I'm going to surprise my son. He lives on the other side. He doesn't know I'm coming, and the river is too swift. I can't cross. And so the older monk picked her up and piggybacked her across the river.
Even though she was unclean?
Let her down at the other side, and she went her way, and he and his young protege went the other way. And a couple of hours later, which were fairly silent, finally the younger one burst out, I don't understand it. She was unclean and you carried her. And the older one looked at him and said, son, I put her down 2 hours ago. You are still carrying her.
Wow.
And
powerful.
That is the difference between forgiveness, is get it over with, talk to God about it, deal with it and go on. Doesn't mean you don't come back for a little visit every now and then, or if they do something nasty again, it doesn't all come up again. But you have to change your outlook on it and say, God, I'm getting sidetracked on somebody else's nastiness. I need to let this go. You love me. Doesn't matter whether they love me or not.
You love me, and that's the bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lindy? And that's something that I think the whole of, not just Australia, the whole world has seen in your life. You're very honest. You've demonstrated that very publicly, very personally. On behalf of Australia, I'd like to thank you for that. Your willingness to share, your willingness to turn your life around in the power of Jesus and minister to the needs of other people. It's compassionate and it's awesome. And I just want to thank you again for being with us today on InFocus.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
God bless. We'll be right back after the break.
The media targets our girls with destructive messages. But is there an alternative? Yes, it's Gigi. Gigi is a great new magazine for teenage girls that uplifts good Christian values. Finally, a way to pass on our values in a way the teenage girls in our life will love. So give a subscription to a teenage girl you love today. Visit gigimagazine.com.au. That's gigimagazine.com.au.
Planning your future can be a daunting task. What you want to do, who you want to be, and the road ahead can often be unpredictable. No one really knows what the future holds. Avondale. It's education designed for life.
Hello, welcome back. Well, this year we've had a great time. Well, you've had a great time, Dannielle, with Trafford Fischer.
I love Traff.
On our Family
He's
InFocus.
special.
Yeah, marriage, relationships. And what are we playing this week?
Today we're going to replay an episode about a couple that have been married, Kent, for 81 years.
81 years.
And still going strong. So what is their secret? We're going to find out. Well, joining us now is our family life educator, Trafford Fischer. Good to see you, Traff.
Hi. Thank you, Dannielle.
Now, today we're talking about long marriage, which is a bit against the norm these days.
You are, yes and no.
Unfortunately.
Look, yeah, true. Sadly, as we know, some marriages don't make it, but there are some who do, and for the long term. And I was just reading recently about a couple. They have just celebrated their 81st wedding anniversary. I brought you a photo of this. I think this is pretty special. Check them out, aren't they fabulous? And she was 17 when she ran off with John, and John was this 21-year-old, and he had this Ford car. They mentioned that they used to take kids around, and they fell in love. Well, they've got 5 children. I think they got 14 grandchildren and 17 great-grandchildren. But aren't they fabulous? And I think to be married for 81 years.
81 years.
Very, very special.
Fantastic.
So they've actually got a lot of incredible memories. But their daughter, who I guess must be in her 80s, we're not sure, her name was her name Renee.
Renee.
And she said they had this incredible capacity to face life as it comes. which I think is just brilliant. So they obviously some kind of resilience, tenacity about life. They face it as it comes. They were able to deal with it. It was interesting. John says that I think he was asked in some interview, okay, so what's your secret? And he says,
that's the obvious question, I guess, isn't it?
Well, he said, look, it's unconditional love and understanding.
What a great tip.
And the other he said compromise, but his fun little line, he says, let your wife be the boss.
That's
so
right.
there are gentlemen who are watching
happy wife,
today.
Happy life.
Yeah, let your wife be the boss. But look, I thought it was just fabulous. And their granddaughter said they are true beacons. Now, what a fabulous image of this, true beacons who somehow, certainly to the granddaughter, I know the image came to mind, of course, is a lighthouse. Here's this solid lighthouse against the storms, and they're shining this light. I think that's fabulous. So,
what a great example. I mean, 81 years, they're certainly speaking for what they stand for.
Imagine the memories that they share together.
Incredible.
And they actually ran away to get married.
What a beautiful story.
It's a great story. But if only we could copy that. And I think this unconditional love and understanding that was a part of their marriage, if we could make that a part of ours, that we love in spite of, regardless, we stay in love and we nurture that love and keep it alive and we become beacons. I think it's just a fabulous image. It's great.
It is fabulous. And I'm sure there's some lovely communication that happens within that context of unconditional love too, which is really important.
They would. I think they would have to have done a lot of really neat things that have allowed them to sustain that journey. But that unconditional love and understanding where they've been able to negotiate, work together, I think they're my heroes. I think they're fabulous.
Yeah, well, great heroes to have by the sound of it, Trafford.
Terrific. Yeah.
Thanks for being with us.
Pleasure.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break.
Discover some of these artists from Salter Music. Vintage Season.
I've heard that it's okay to show
Ali and Leighton.
love is patient.
The Promise.
Give thanks unto the Lord, for He is good.
Or something from the Salter Classic series.
Have you heard the news?
No matter what shade of musical taste you have, you might just find something that sings to you. It's all waiting to be discovered at saltermusic.com. Fresh and exciting original Christian music from Salter Music.
Welcome back. Well, don't cry just yet. It's the end of the program, but not the last Record in Focus ever.
No, but, well, it is the last for a week. But you can, of course, if you really miss us desperately, jump on the website, record.net.au. All the segments are there. Previous episodes are there. Look, the world's your oyster, basically.
Absolutely. Well, until then, have an awesome week, and we'll see you next time on Record in Focus.
God bless.